Painting is a powerful form of expression and introspection. Without investment, art can never flourish. A good artist may die in the wilderness before having the chance to impact people's lives. Fortunately for painters, they are often supported by admirers with deep pockets, and their works are often fetched at high prices. The significance of a painting is evoked by the history and process involved in its making. Prices are fixed accordingly. Note: this list is ordered by Consumer Price Index inflation adjusted value in millions of April 2014 United States dollars. Number 10, The Scream. The artist, Edvard Munch. Cost of the art, $119.9 million. Created by the Norwegian expressionist painter Edvard Munch, The Scream has 4 versions, 2 pastels, 1893 and 1895, and 2 paintings, 1893 and 1910. He also made several lithographs of The Scream in 1895 and later. The 1895 pastel version is the most colorful and had fetched $119.9 million. Munch was inspired to create a picture that would represent the universal anxiety of modern man by the following circumstance. One evening I was walking along a path. The city was on one side and the fjord below. I felt tired and ill. I stopped and looked out over the fjord. The sun was setting, and the clouds turning blood red. I sensed a scream passing through nature. It seemed to me that I heard the scream. I painted this picture, painted the clouds as actual blood. The color shrieked. This became the scream. Number 9. Garcilaso pipe. The artist, Pablo Picasso. Cost of the art, $104 million. Painted as a youth of 24, the creation goes to show the innate talent Picasso held since his early days. He painted this piece in 1905. It was modeled by a local teenager named Little Louis, who was an ardent admirer of Picasso. The boy would often hang around the studio for the whole day, looking for cases of offering service and watching Picasso paint. Critics usually disapprove the high price tagged with this painting because they consider this work as of inferior nature when compared to many other paintings of Picasso. Picasso expert Pepe Carmel lamented, saying, "I'm stunned that a pleasant, minor painting could command a price appropriate to a real masterwork by Picasso. This just shows how much the marketplace is divorced from the true values of art." Number 8. Bal du Moulin de la Galit. The artist, Pierre-Auguste Renoir. Cost of the art, $78.1 million. Translated as Dance at le Moulin de la Galit is an 1876 painting by French Impressionist painter Pierre-Auguste Renoir. It depicts a crowd of jolly working-class people hanging out on a typical Sunday afternoon. It is celebrated as one of the Impressionistic masterpieces. Renoir's portrait is powerful as it evokes a real lifelike image. Between 1879 and 1894, the painting remained in the private collection of another French painter, but following his death, it was handed over to the French government as payment for inheritance tax. Interesting fact, Renoir had painted a smaller version of the picture which was sold to Ryoi Saito, chairman of a paper manufacturing company in Japan, who incurred the wrath of art fanatics suggesting that he would create both portrait of Dr. Gratiot, yes, he owns this too, and Bal du Moulin de la Galit with him when he died. Number 7. 3 Studies of Lucian Freud. The artist, Francis Bacon. Cost of the art, $142.4 million. Born in Ireland, the British painter Francis Bacon created a triptych of his friend and artist rival Lucian Freud in 1969. The duo was known to often model for each other. Painted in the typical distorted Bacon style, critics said that it marks Bacon and Freud's relationship, paying tribute to the creative and emotional kinship between the two artists. Although in the mid-1970s they drifted apart over an argument. The studies were created on 3 different panels and were sold together until the mid-1970s when they were purchased separately, which made Bacon unhappy. It wasn't until the 80s that the panels were reunited. Number 6. Portrait of Dr. Gratiot. The artist, Vincent van Gogh. Cost of the art, $82.5 million. Considered as one of the masterpieces by the post-impressionist Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh, there are 2 versions of the painting, both painted in June 1890. Both the paintings were modeled by Dr. Gratiot, who took care of Gogh during his final few months before death. The portraits have similar context but follow different style and colors. It was the first version that managed to fetch $82.5 million at a New York auction. Interestingly, when Vincent van Gogh met Dr. Gratiot, he was not at all impressed and shared this anxiety with his brother, saying, "I think that we must not count on Dr. Gratiot at all. First of all, he is sicker than I am." Yet they became true friends. The deep relationship prompted Gogh to capture him through his art. This is what Vincent van Gogh said about his painting: "I've done the portrait of M. Gratiot with a melancholy expression, which might well seem like a grimace to those who see it. Sad but gentle, yet clear and intelligent, that is how many portraits ought to be done. There are modern heads that may be looked at for a long time, and that may perhaps be looked back on with longing 100 years later." Number 5. Portrait of Adele Bockbauer. The artist, Gustav Klimt. Cost of the art, $135 million. Famous Austrian symbolist painter Gustav Klimt painted Adele Bockbauer in 1907. Like many of his male predecessors, counterparts and descendants, Klimt's primary object of artistic work was the female form. His works are often marked by eroticism. This insanely expensive painting was modeled by Adele Bockbauer. She was the wife of a very wealthy industrialist who sponsored artists. She admired Klimt's work and supported him. In fact, Adele Bockbauer was the only woman whom Klimt had painted twice. This painting was followed by the portrait of Adele Bockbauer too. Interesting fact, following the end of World War II, the Austrian Museum was in no mood to return the wonderful Klimt paintings to the rightful owner's family. In January 2006 the court adjudicated to hand the painting over to Maria Altmann, niece of the Bockbauers. Later that year a portrait of Adele Bockbauer was put up for auction, following which it remained as the most expensive painting for the next 4 months. Number 4. Le Rêve. The artist, Pablo Picasso. Cost of the art, $155 million. Surely Pablo Picasso needs no introduction. His contribution to the world of art has been revolutionary. Le Rêve was modeled by Picasso's young mistress in one fine January afternoon of 1932. The painting has been noted for its erotic content. Notice the line between the upturned face of the woman. Many critics opined that Picasso depicted his own emotion in that line, which was presumably modeled after his own erection. Interesting fact, casino magnate Steve Wynn had purchased Le Rêve in 2001 for $60 million, and while showing it to some of his friends he put his elbow on the canvas, causing a 6-inch tear. Following a $90,000 repair, Stephen A. Cohen bought the painting from Wynn in 2013. Number 3. Woman 3. The artist, Willem de Kooning. Cost of the art, $137.5 million. Born in Netherlands, Kooning was an American abstract expressionist painter who was a part of the group of artists who came to be known as the New York School. Woman 3 is one of the 6 paintings made by Kooning between 1951 and 1953. The primary theme of this series is women. In this series, Kooning has made use of aggressive brushwork and strategically placed high-key colors. Evoking some of modern man's stereotypical sexual fear, Kooning gave his women toothy snarls, dropping over ripe breasts, large eyes, and other such extremities. Interesting fact, In the 1970s, Moulin 3 was a part of the Tehran Museum of Contemporary Art collection. Following the Iranian Revolution of 1979, the work of art was banned for public viewing. Finally, in 1994 it was quietly traded by Thomas Ammon Fine Art to David Geffen for the remainder of the 16th century Persian manuscript, the Tamasbi Shahnameh. Number 2. Number 5, 1948. The artist, Jackson Pollock. Cost of the art, $140 million. Jackson Pollock, one of the most influential American abstract expressionist painter, created Number 5, 1948 in the year 1950. If you gaze at the above painting for a few seconds you could see nest-like appearance which was made by drizzling yellow and brown paint on top the painting. Interesting stuff. Number 5, 1948 has reportedly been sold to David Martinez at a price of $140 million, but his attorney has denied of any such transaction. Auction expert Josh Baer indicated back in 2006 that Martinez was not the buyer of the painting. Then who is? Number 1. The Card Players. The artist, Paul Cézanne. Cost of the art, $250 to $300 million. Famous French post-expressionist painter Paul Cézanne painted the Card Players in the early 1890s during his final years. It is a series of 5 oil paintings varying in size and the number of players depicted. One of the paintings has been sold to the royal family of Qatar at an estimated cost of around $250 to $300 million. The models of these paintings were local farmers. The art depicts men playing cards with their eyes downcast, focusing on the cards. The absolute concentration of the men prompted one critic to describe the scenes as human still life. Cézanne's paintings generally involve intense character study, and both Matisse and Picasso had called him the father of us all.